What unites ancient cities, bustling harbors, and quiet nooks by the water? Why do these places hold the keys to understanding the real China, its culture, history, and soul? To immerse yourself in the life of these cities is to discover a world full of contrasts, beauty, and unexpected stories. Today, we are going to travel through 60 of China's most important cities to experience the atmosphere of each of them together. Beijing has always felt like the heart of the country, bustling, wide, yet steeped in antiquity. The streets in the old hutongs smell of fried dumplings, and the glassy hulk of the business center may loom nearby. Walking through Tiananmen Square, it feels like standing in the epicenter of history. In Beijing's subway, you can travel from the dynasties to the world of digital modernity. Just get off at the right station. In the parks in the mornings, old men practicing Tai Chi is surprisingly soothing. In winter, the air is dry and crisp, and there is thin snow on the rooftops of the armed city. Beijing isn't just a metropolis. It's a stage on which a centuries-old play is being performed. And every time you come here, you feel as if you are returning to the center of the circles. Shanghai looks like a city that is constantly rushing towards the future without forgetting the past. The Pudong Towers are like needles piercing the sky, especially on a foggy evening when you can't see their ends. And the Bunqi opposite is early 20th century Europe transposed onto Chinese soil. Ferries run between the two, and each of their horns sounds like a mingling of eras. In Shanghai's alleyways, Shikumen, laundry still dries and children play. Despite the throng of tourists a stone's throw away. The city does not sleep, but only changes its rhythm. At night, it becomes a neon theater. Here, coffee is drunk in art-decorated interiors, and next door, noodles are cooked according to a great-grandfather's recipe. Shanghai sticks in the memory as a city where the present lives in the mirror of the past. Guangzhou is a city where everything smells of food. Rice buns in the morning, fried eel in the afternoon, and spiced tea in the evening. Its streets are a mix of Cantonese tradition and Art Nouveau architecture, with flower-strewn balconies and bright neon signs. Here you can step into a tea house where an old man will brew oolong with such precision as if he were conducting a ritual. On the Pearl River embankment, a warm breeze blows, and echoes of Cantonese opera can be heard in the evening air. On the subway, there are advertisements for IT companies and languages in all dialects. The old markets live by their own rules, where fruit smells like childhood in the tropics. It's where Asia and the world meet, and every day starts with a new flavor. Guangzhou is a city that has its own logic, its own passion, and its own flavors. Shenzhen is a city that grew overnight, but with a character that takes years to form. Walking through Jingshan Park, you can feel the concrete neighborhoods suddenly give way to greenery and silence. Ambition is in the air here, from the IT workers in the co-working centers to the artists at Daffin Art Village. Once a fishing village, now the future of technology is being decided in skyscrapers. The subway here is like an artery carrying people to startups, electronics markets, and design studios. In the evening, you can hear street musicians singing by Shekubei and drones overhead. The city knows no rest. Its rhythm is code, light, movement. Shenzhen is like a digital dragon that has just begun to take off. Chengdu smells of pepper and rain. The markets sell fresh meat, noodles, and garlic, and old men play mahjong in the shade of sprawling plane trees. Here, people like to take their time. Even in a huge city, there is a sense of provincial comfort. In the center of the panda reserve is quiet. You can see how slowly, lazily, these animals reach for a bamboo shoot. In the evening, Sichuan hogo boils in the restaurants, and tables are covered with drips of spicy broth. The bookstores on the streets are filled with poetry, philosophy, and modern prose. This city has a musical tempo, thick, spicy, unhurried. Chengdu is not just a place, it is a state where every step is like a breath of spice. Chongqing is not built upwards but sideways and inwards, as if the city grew on winding steps. The subway here runs through apartment buildings, and it feels like something from the future. The heat is enveloping, and the spicy beef giblet dishes are as if on purpose to make you feel the spice of life. The Yangtze River below seems to slowly push this stone anthill forward. In the evening, the city glows with red lights reflecting in the water, and ferries floating between the hills. There are stairs everywhere, and it seems like you're always going up or down. There are almost no horizontal roads. It's easy to get lost in this city, but impossible to forget. Chongqing is like a spicy appetizer to a cup of strong tea. Xi'an is a city where asphalt lies on top of thousands of years of history. The streets are filled with the sounds of modern phones and old languages, from Han Chinese to Uyghur. A drum tower and a mosque stand almost side by side, and their shadows weave across the sidewalk. In the terracotta army, each warrior stares into eternity. Their faces seem alive even in the semi-darkness of the hall. In the evening, bizarre music rattles. Smells of fried kebabs, laughter and rustling of bills can be heard. Inside the fortress wall, there is a special atmosphere, a silence full of memory. Bicycles creak on the cobblestones, as if transporting you to another century. Xi'an is not a museum, but a living organism breathing history. Nanjing seems like a city that remembers more than it tells. The old university buildings smell of books and moisture, as if knowledge settles in the air here. By the wall of the ancient capital, it is quiet, and only the wind rustles in the trees. Sun Yat-sen's mausoleum stands on a hill, from where you can see how the city is growing and changing. In winter, the Yangtze River is cold and swift, and children fly kites on the embankment. In the city gardens, seagulls circle over the water, and it makes the city feel calmer. The streets are full of students, bicycles, and conversation. Nanjing is like a philosopher, austere, thoughtful, but warm. Hangzhou begins with the lake, Yiwu, a mirror of the sky in which willow trees, pavilions, and boats are reflected. In the morning, the lake is shrouded in haze, and in the evening it is like the music of poetry. On its shores stand tea houses, where there is no bustle, only tea, silence, and a view of the water. The city is known for its internet companies, but its heart is in the Lunjing tea plantations. The temples smell of sandalwood, and the tea shops smell of fried leaves. There is greenery everywhere, and even in the center there are parks where you can forget about the city. Everything is soft in Hangzhou. The light, the air, the speech. This city knows how to be modern without losing its soulfulness. Wuhan feels like a crossroads of rivers and cultures. Here, the Yangtze meets the Han River, and bridges like strings stretch over them. At Hubei University, ginkgo trees fall in the fall, and the carpet of yellow leaves seems out of a fairy tale. The fish market is replaced by an IT complex, and both have a life of their own. There are noodle frying and open-air dancing in the streets. In spring, cherry blossoms bloom, and the whole city seems to breathe in a pink mist. At the zoo, children laugh while watching deer and cranes. Wuhan is a city where seasons, eras, and destinies collide. Suzhou is a place where stone and water speak more softly than people. In ancient gardens such as the Garden of the Humble Official, you can wander for hours among carp ponds, carved roof pavilions, and winding black cobblestone paths. Here it is as if all the geometry of nature is emphasized by the human hand. The bridges are curved so that the eye does not get tired. In the city, there are many workshops where silk is woven. And in these workshops, the air is thick with the quiet rustling of cocoons. Boats decorated with red lanterns float on the canals, and every turn reflects some old song. The houses on the quays are white, with tiled roofs like in the engravings. Suzhou lives in rhythm with the water, and this rhythm makes everything smooth and measured. It's a city where the classical Chinese aesthetic is not hidden in museums. It's just there, all around. Shenzhen leaves you feeling like an architectural puzzle. Chinese signs against Italian balconies, Russian domes next to German houses. In the old Italian quarter, everything resembles turn-of-the-century Europe, but the cafes serve rice and duck. Water is everywhere in this city. The canals, the bridges, the humid air. The streets are spacious, and the Hahe riverfront stretches along shining skyscrapers. Special meat-filled buns are still baked in the old neighborhoods, and ships from the south buzz in the harbor. The markets sell outlandish trinkets and old vinyls of Chinese pop music. In the evening, the bridges are illuminated, and everything looks like scenes from old movies. Shenzhen is a city where East and West became friends long ago, and now peacefully share the streets. Harbin has always been different. Northern, snowy, with the smell of pine trees and icy air. Russian houses here stand with neat facades, and in the center stands St. Sophia Cathedral, which looks like it came from another time. In winter, there is ice everywhere, not just in snowdrifts, but in the form of real palaces, bridges, and sculptures, illuminated in all colors. The streets of Harbin are full of Russian bread, hot dumplings, and Chinese kebab on sticks. In the evening, music plays in cafes, often old dance music, with the hoarse voice of the announcer in the recording. The air is fresh, dry, with the flavor of tangerine crusts freezing in the cold. The subway creaks like an old train, and every turn reminds you of the frames of a chronicle. Harbin is a city where winter is not just weather, but a whole language. Qingdao smells of sea and malt. Here, beer is not just a drink, but part of the city's culture, with streets selling freshly brewed beverage straight from plastic bags. The German heritage can be felt in the tiled-roofed villas, in the wide main street, where the facades are reminiscent of Bavaria. On the shore, the yellow sea murmurs and seagulls soar over the stone headlands. In summer, the smells of salt, fried fish, and caramel sweets mingle in the air. Taidong Street is abuzz with voices, commerce, and music, like an open-air fair. The city has many staircases going straight down to the water, where teenagers catch crabs. Qingdao lives with a view of the horizon, and there's a constant sense of spaciousness. This city is like a sip of beer on a hot day, frothy, lively, with an aftertaste of foreign history. Dalian is like a seaside postcard of alternating styles: Japanese precision, Russian heaviness, and Chinese lightness. It's built on hills, and the houses here often seem to slide down the slopes. In summer, the beaches are filled with people, and a street musician's saxophone plays over the promenade. You can feel the influence of the sea in this city, in the food, in the dialect, in the rhythm of life. The central square reminds you of something from Europe, but the vendors on the corner offer squid on skewers. The streetcars here are old, creaky, like in my childhood. You ride and it feels like you're back in the 1980s. Port Arthur Street led to the old Japanese neighborhoods, where a cedar gazebo still stands. Dalian is as soft as the wind by the bay, and there is always a sense of movement, ebb, flow, change. Foshan is steeped in the spirit of craftsmanship. You can feel the handiwork in every street, from earthenware to carved cabinets. The city is associated with Kung Fu for good reason. Ip Man himself, Bruce Lee's teacher, was born here. In the evening, the parks are filled with students, some practicing stances, others moving slowly as if in a dance. In the old neighborhoods, a noodle shop smokes with pepper and ginger soup. Earthenware stores are everywhere. Blue and white bowls, lotus vases, fine workmanship. The factories are interspersed with temples, and this does not hinder, on the contrary, emphasizes the special character. At the Kung Fu Museum, you can feel the rhythm of the Kung Fu beats with the pulse of the city itself. Foshan is not just an industrial center, but a city where respect for the body and craftsmanship is felt in every step. Zhuhai is like a whisper on the border of Macau, quiet and sophisticated but with big city ambitions. Everything here breathes sea breeze. The palm trees, the wide waterfront, the aromas of fried seafood. A pedestrian bridge leads directly into the ocean, and when you walk across it, it feels like stepping into the horizon. Students and developers abound in the city, university campuses, border technology parks. In the evenings, the shore comes alive with lantern lights, street music, and the voices of couples on benches. Lover's Road stretches along the shore, and you can walk along it for hours without getting tired. It's as if the city breathes freely, taking its time. Zhuhai is a place where technology does not drown out the silence of the sea. Changsha is a hot, spicy city, alive with the peppery sauce it is famous for. Grills smoke in the streets, and every cafe will offer you something that will make your eyes water. But it's a flavor you want to return to. In the evening, people are awake here. People sing karaoke, play board games right on the streets, and dance to folk pop on the waterfront. In the center stands a tall monument to Mao, who was born nearby. He looks into the distance, as if observing the life of the city. The subway here is fast and clean, with an announcer's voice in the local dialect. Stores are open until midnight, and you can buy a rice cake even at 3 in the morning. Changsha is a city where the heat from the kitchen and the rhythm of the streets keep you entertained. Zhengzhou is the crossroads of China, the point where north and south meet, freight trains and roads everywhere. The city may seem rough, lots of concrete, noise, highways, but it has an energy all its own. They build fast, move fast, eat fast too. Takeaway noodles are served in 30 seconds. The markets here are huge, like a city within a city, selling everything from fruit to electronics. There are still old villages in the suburbs where traditional bone soup is made, and it's a real treat. The people of Zhengzhou speak simply but with character, as if everything superfluous has long been discarded. The subway is growing like a yeast, with new lines every year. This city lives at the crossroads and has become a movement itself. Xi'an is always memorable for its springs. They're everywhere, with trickles of water spurting out from under the tiles on the streets. It is said that the water here tastes better than anywhere else, and tea brewed with it is especially soft. In the center of the city, there are ponds and parks where old people sit with fishing rods and children feed ducks. Temples are buried in greenery, and nearby are lively markets with peanuts, dried fruit, and toys. On the Shaoqing River embankment, boats decorated with fabrics float slowly. There is a special silence in the city, not complete, but muted, as if sound is coming through the water. In the evening, the streetlights are reflected in the canals, and everything looks like an ancient Chinese engraving. Jinan is a city where water is not only a resource, but also a rhythm of life. Ningbo is an important port on the east coast of China, through which huge volumes of cargo pass. There is a constant sense of movement in the port, ships docking, movers quickly unloading containers, and the whole city seems to be alive with the rhythm of shipping. There are many modern warehouses and logistics centers around, where technology is integrated with traditional work. The city is also famous for its history as one of the oldest trading points, where in ancient times the Chinese exchanged goods with other countries. On the streets of Ningbo, you can find ancient Buddhist temples hidden among skyscrapers and industrial zones. Fresh seafood is popular in the city's culinary scene, served with spices typical of the East Coast. The old part of Ningbo, with its narrow streets and traditional houses, gives a sense of living history blended with modernity. In the evenings, promenade groups stroll along the waterfront, and lanterns reflect in the harbor water. Xiamen is a city that exudes tranquility and modernity at the same time. The coastal area with beaches and green parks creates a special feeling of freshness and spaciousness. One of the first special economic zones in China is located here, which is why the city is rapidly developing and attracting businesses from different countries. There are many seafood cafes and restaurants in Xiamen, serving dishes with a soft texture and moderate spiciness. Old colonial buildings can be found on the streets, reminiscent of a time of foreign influence. A popular walk in the city is the Gulangyu Island Walk, which features traditional Chinese gardens and sea views. Pedestrian areas with stores and markets are always filled with vibrant colors and aromas. The evening lights of the waterfront create a unique atmosphere where modernity and tradition mix. Wuxi is located by the picturesque Taihu Lake, which defines the city's character and influences its culture. Industries here are juxtaposed with well-maintained parks and historical sites. Wuxi has a tradition of silk cultivation, and museums offer much to learn about the ancient craft. Taihu Lake is often the center of the city's festivities, especially in the summer when outdoor festivals and concerts are held. The streets of Wuxi are full of tea houses, where you can taste classic varieties of green tea. The city's architecture combines elements of modern China and ancient ivy-covered temples. The nightlife is varied, from quiet cafes to noisy clubs. The city leaves an impression of balance between industrialization and nature. Wenzhou is a city of entrepreneurs and vibrant small businesses, where the spirit of commerce and business is in the air. Small family-run shops, workshops, and markets operate here from morning to night, creating a constant flow of customers and negotiations. Wenzhou is famous for its shoe and textile production, with many factories firmly embedded in the life of the city. The city is actively expanding, with many new residential neighborhoods and shopping centers lining its streets. Despite this, the old neighborhoods retain their flavor with narrow streets and brightly colored signs. The city's cuisine is characterized by a variety of dishes, often with seafood and sauces with a spicy touch. The people of Wenzhou pride themselves on their industriousness and ingenuity. The city seems to move at several speeds at once, from preserved traditions to rapid development. Shijiazhuang is the capital of Hebei province, which has developed into an important industrial center over the past decades. The city feels like a place where the flow of goods and labor intersect. There are many factories and transportation hubs on the streets, and the city's infrastructure is developing rapidly. The center has preserved parks and cultural sites that provide a respite from the hustle and bustle. Shijiazhuang is often frosty in winter, but this does not prevent active life in the markets and streets. The city's cuisine ranges from classic northern dishes to more exotic options. Transportation is important here, with a train station and buses linking the city to other regions. Shijiazhuang is an example of a typical industrial city, which is becoming more modern every year. Taiyuan is the capital of Shanxi province with a rich history going back thousands of years. Around the city, ancient temples and monasteries have been preserved and stand among modern buildings. Taiyuan is known for its coal mining and metallurgy industries, which strongly influences the character of the city. The center has spacious squares and parks where locals spend their weekends. Taiyuan's cuisine is famous for meat dishes and flatbreads, which are often cooked over an open fire. The city has a network of universities and cultural institutions, making it a center of education. Mountains are scattered around Taiyuan, creating beautiful views and opportunities for tourism. The city seems alive despite the industrial landscape. Kunming is called the City of Eternal Spring for its mild climate and green streets all year round. Flowers that bloom only in summer elsewhere in China bloom here, and the air is filled with the fragrance of jasmine and roses. Kunming has many parks and bodies of water that become centers of tranquility and relaxation. The city is located on a highland plain and offers beautiful views of the surrounding mountains. The local cuisine is famous for spicy dishes that combine the traditions of different ethnic groups. The city's streets are modern, but you can find narrow alleys with markets and handicraft shops. Kunming is the cultural center of southwest China with a rich history and a diversity of peoples. Evenings here are warm with a light breeze and the sound of fountains. Lhasa is the spiritual capital of Tibet, a city with a special atmosphere of sanctity and antiquity. It is home to the famous Potala and Jokang, places where pilgrims have gathered for centuries. The air in Lhasa is dry and clear, and the sun is bright even when the streets are cool. The city is surrounded by mountains, and every dawn here seems to begin with a prayer chant. In the streets, you can see Tibetans in traditional clothes meditating and reciting prayers. Lhasa has markets with mantras, incense, and fabrics that smell of tartness and history. Despite the tourist traffic, the place remains measured in the slow passage of time. Lhasa is a city where the past and faith feel especially close. Hato is the capital of Inner Mongolia, a city where steppe tradition and modernity meet. Here you can often see Mongolian shepherds in national dress neighboring residents in business suits. The city has many parks and green areas, which gives a feeling of spaciousness and freedom. The cuisine of Hato is distinguished by meat dishes. Mutton and horse meat are in honor here. On the streets, there are many sculptures and monuments dedicated to the history of the Mongolian people. The city is rapidly developing, but it retains its connection with nature and the steppe. The local markets are full of colorful fabrics, jewelry, and traditional products. Hukoto is a place of contrasts, where steppe strength meets urban rhythm. Urumqi is the main city of Xinjiang, located in the foothills of the Tian Shan Mountains. It is a major trading center on the Silk Road, where the cultures of the Uyghurs, Han Chinese, and many other peoples intertwine. The city has many markets where spices, dried fruits, and handicrafts are sold. The air is saturated with the aromas of kumis and roasted meat, and the sounds of folk music create a special background. Urumqi is a city of contrasts. Modern buildings are juxtaposed with traditional houses and mosques. There is a strong cultural identity here, which can be seen in all aspects of life. At night, the streets are illuminated by lanterns and the city is filled with life and conversation. Urumqi is a meeting point of history and modernity, a city where eras and peoples intertwine. Luoyang is one of China's oldest cities, where history is literally inscribed in every stone of the streets. There is a deep connection to the dynasties that left behind palaces, temples, and mausoleums. In Luoyang, you can see the ruins of ancient city walls that have survived the centuries and remind you of centuries-old battles and great rulers. The city is famous for its cave temples, Lunmen, where Buddhist frescoes and sculptures are preserved on the walls. Local parks are full of blooming peonies, a symbol of Luoyang and Chinese beauty. Every year there is a peony festival, which attracts thousands of visitors and creates a special atmosphere. The city seems to be a space where the past lives side by side with the present, and there is a unique harmony in it. Walking through the old quarters of Luoyang reveals the secrets of ancient Chinese culture and crafts. Yangzhou is located by the Grand Canal, which has always made it an important center of trade and culture. The city is famous for its rich history, which is reflected in its classical gardens, old mansions, and narrow streets. Yangzhou is where Chinese literature and poetry was formed, and this can be felt in every corner of the city. Walking along the canal embankment fills the air with the scents of flowering trees and the sounds of traditional music. The local cuisine is known for fresh fish dishes and delicacies that are appreciated far beyond the province's borders. Artists and calligraphers often gather in the parks, creating a lively picture of creative life. Yangzhou has an atmosphere of leisurely and measured life, where cultural traditions intertwine with modernity. In the evenings, lanterns appear on the streets, giving the city a romantic look. Nanning is the capital of Guangxi, close to the border with Vietnam, which is reflected in the diversity of cultures and cuisines. The city has many green areas and parks, which creates a sense of ease and comfort even in the hot season. Nanning is an important economic center where roads and trade routes intersect. The local markets are full of exotic fruits, spices, and products rarely found elsewhere. The climate is subtropical, making the city green and blooming almost all year round. The city has many traditional and modern festivals that showcase ethnic dances and crafts. The architecture mixes modern buildings with elements of traditional Chinese style. Nanning leaves the impression of a lively and dynamic place where nature and city life are closely intertwined. Haikou is the capital of Hainan Province, located on the shores of the South China Sea. The city is known for its warm climate and clean beaches that attract tourists all year round. Modern hotels and traditional fishing villages are mixed here, creating a unique cityscape. Haikou has many green parks and walking areas along the coast. The local cuisine is rich in seafood, which is served fresh with minimal processing, preserving the natural flavor. The city is actively developing, but at the same time tries to preserve its maritime flavor and tranquility. In the evenings, the streets come alive with markets and street cafes where you can sample local specialties. Haikou is a place where the combination of sea and city creates a unique atmosphere of relaxation. Sanya is a tropical resort in the south of Hainan, known for its beaches and turquoise waters. There are many tourists here who come for the sun and sea, but at the same time the city retains an atmosphere of peace and comfort. Palm trees and flowering gardens surround the hotels and beach areas, creating a picture of an ideal summer vacation. Sanya has a well-developed infrastructure for outdoor activities such as diving, surfing, and yachting. Local markets offer fresh fruits, seafood, and souvenirs with ethnic motifs. There are often festivals with dances and songs of the nationalities inhabiting Hainan. In the evening, the beaches are illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns and lights, inviting you to stroll around. Sanya is a place where nature and tourism merge to create a relaxing atmosphere. Batu is a major industrial center in Inner Mongolia, known for its metallurgical and mining enterprises. The city feels heavy and serious, with its factories and pipes rising into the sky. Despite the industrial landscape, there are many green parks and rivers that provide a respite from the hustle and bustle of the city. Batu is developing a transportation network linking it to other regions of Inner Mongolia. The culture and traditions of the Mongolian people are evident in the festivals and local cuisine, where lamb and dairy products are often found. The city has many museums that tell the industrial development and history of the region. Batu is an example of a city where labor and nature neighbor side by side. The atmosphere here is austere, but it has its own proud energy. Yiwu is a famous center for the production of Chinese baijiu, a strong traditional liquor. The city is home to many factories where alcohol is brewed according to ancient recipes that have been handed down from generation to generation. The streets of Yiwu are filled with the aromas of spices and fermentation, creating a special sense of authenticity. The locals are proud of their drink, which is known throughout the country and exported abroad. Festivals dedicated to baijiu are held in the city, with tastings and cultural programs. The surrounding scenery with rivers and mountains add to the city's natural harmony. The cuisine of Yiwu is rich in spicy dishes that go well with local alcohol. Yiwu seems to be a place where tradition and modernity blend in aromas and flavors. Guilin is one of the most picturesque cities in China, famous for its limestone mountains and scenic rivers. The local scenery is like a painting, cliffs covered with greenery and calm water. Tourist boats often sail along the Lhasa River, offering views of natural attractions. The city has many parks and cultural sites that immerse you in the atmosphere of antiquity and beauty. Guilin's cuisine is characterized by fish and rice dishes laced with spicy herbs. In the evenings, the streets are filled with lights and music from street performers. The city is a center for numerous ethnic groups, which is reflected in the crafts and traditions. Guilin leaves a strong impression of the harmony of nature and man. Yangzhou, in addition to its status as a trading city, is also known as an ancient center of culture and poetry. Poets of the past have left their traces in the city, which can be felt in the gardens, stone bridges, and ancient streets. Yangzhou's gardens are a special world where the harmony of nature and architecture creates a sense of timelessness. Historic houses with wood and stone carvings reflect the richness of cultural heritage. Traditional music is often heard on the streets, and museums house rare manuscripts and works of art. The city has long attracted scholars and artists seeking to touch its spirit. In the evenings, poetry readings and musical evenings are held in tea houses. Yangzhou is a city where culture is alive at every turn. Lijiang is an ancient city of the Nasi people, with narrow cobblestone streets and traditional architecture. The city has preserved the atmosphere of ancient times, with wooden houses, carved windows, and red lanterns. There is a strong emphasis on traditional crafts and music in the cafes and squares. The river running through the city gives Lijiang a romantic and cozy feel. Locals often wear national dress, which creates a unique sense of cultural immersion. Tourists come here not only for the scenery, but also to learn about the history of the Nasi people. Evenings in Lijiang are filled with the light of lanterns and quiet conversations. The city seems like a living museum where every street tells its own story. Rili is a border city with Myanmar, located in southwestern China. The city serves as an important point of trade and cultural exchange between China and Southeast Asia. The traditions of the Dai and other ethnic groups are intertwined here, reflected in local markets and festivals. The streets of Rili are filled with bright colors, souvenirs, and the smell of spices. The city often hosts fairs where rare handicrafts and exotic products can be found. The nature around Rili is rich in green hills and river valleys, creating a beautiful landscape. The climate here is warm and humid, which helps to preserve the rich vegetation. The city feels like a lively hub of intersecting cultures and traditions. Zhejiang is a port city on the banks of the Yangtze River, playing a key role in shipping and logistics. The city's banks are decorated with industrial and historical buildings that reflect the development of the region. The Yangtze River here is wide and powerful, and the views from the waterfront are impressive in scale. Zhejiang has an ancient history, and the city has preserved many monuments and temples. Walking through the old quarters allows you to feel the spirit of the ancient trading center. Local cuisine uses a lot of fresh fish and river delicacies. The city actively develops transportation links with other major cities in China. Zhejiang seems to be a place where past and present are harmoniously intertwined on the banks of a great river. Xi'an is famous for its lakes, hot springs, and tea plantations, creating a unique natural landscape. There are many resort areas with healing waters that attract tourists and locals. There are parks and walking areas around the lakes, where you can feel calm and tranquility. Tea plantations in the hills cover the area with a green carpet, and local tea varieties are known for their rich flavor. The climate in Xi'an is mild and humid, which favors vegetation. Many traditional tea houses with a rich history can be found in the city. The hot springs are considered healing, and visiting them is an important part of the local culture. Xi'an creates a sense of a place where nature and health are closely linked. Hefei is the capital of Anhui Province, a city with a booming economy and industry. Here you can see a mix of modern buildings and traditional temples, creating an interesting architectural contrast. Hefei has many universities and science centers, giving the city an intellectual image. Parks and green areas make it comfortable to live and relax. The city is located on the banks of several rivers, giving it a natural freshness. In recent years, Hefei has been actively developing transportation infrastructure, including subways and expressways. The local cuisine is famous for bean dishes and spicy spices. Hefei has the spirit of a dynamic and modern city, combining innovation and tradition. Yiwu is a world center of small-scale wholesale trade that is famous throughout China and far beyond. It is home to huge markets with millions of goods for every taste and budget. Yiwu attracts entrepreneurs from all over the world, becoming a true commercial hub. The streets of the city come alive, especially in the mornings when trade begins. Despite the rapid development, the city remains compact and convenient for shopping. Many of the goods here are locally produced, creating a special artisanal atmosphere. The infrastructure is built with the scale of trade in mind, with many warehouses and logistics centers. Yiwu seems to be a living organism, constantly moving and evolving. Zhoukang is a historical city in Guangdong province with a rich cultural heritage. It is known for its mountains, lakes, and ancient temples that surround the city. Zhoukang has many parks and nature reserves that create natural harmony. The local architecture combines elements of classical Chinese style and colonial past. Handicraft activities, including pottery making and stone carving, are developed in the city. Zhoukang is also famous for traditional festivals and cultural events. The local cuisine offers dishes with rich flavors and a variety of spices. Zhoukang retains the atmosphere of a city where history and nature live side by side. Xi'an is the birthplace of poet Su Dunapo, one of China's greatest literati. The city is imbued with an atmosphere of creativity and cultural heritage, which is reflected in the museums and monuments. Xi'an streets are decorated with quotes from poems, and the locals are proud of their history. Quiet parks and ancient gardens can be found here, which serve as inspiration for artists. Xi'an is known for its tea culture and traditional crafts. The poetic heritage is evident in cultural events and festivals. The city feels the spirit of the past living side by side with modernity. Xi'an seems to be a place where word and nature come together in harmony. Tunlin is an important metallurgy center in Anhui province. With a developed industrial infrastructure, the city feels gritty and working class, with factories and mills creating the main economy. Despite its industrial appearance, there are parks and green spaces for residents to relax. Tunlin is a hub of transportation links connecting the region to the rest of China. The city offers a combination of traditional residential neighborhoods and modern industrial complexes. Ecology and nature conservation are becoming increasingly important topics for Tunlin. The city is actively developing, trying to balance industry and comfort. In Tunlin, you can feel the power of labor and engineering. Zhenhua is the capital of Chinese Maotai, a famous strong liquor. It is home to the largest factories producing this alcohol, which is considered the symbol of Guizhou province. The atmosphere of the city is filled with the odors of alcohol and traditions associated with Maotai. Locals are proud of their drink, which is often used at official receptions and festivals. Zhenhua hosts festivals and tastings that attract connoisseurs from all over the country. The city is located in a mountainous area with scenic views and clean air. Maotai production plays a key role in the region's economy and forms a cultural identity. Zhenhua is felt as a center of tradition and modern industry. Diang is a mechanical engineering center in Sichuan province with developed industry and scientific potential. The city is filled with factories, research institutes, and educational institutions. In Diang, you can see the contrast between industrial areas and green parks for recreation. Equipment and machinery are manufactured here and exported all over China. The transportation infrastructure that links the city to major industrial centers plays an important role. The local culture combines working traditions and modern technological innovations. The city retains an atmosphere of hard work and determination. Dian is perceived as the heart of the region's engineering industry, where technology and man work in unison. Chaozhou is an ancient city of tea culture, known for its unique style of tea preparation and serving. This city has become the center of the Gongzhou tea tradition, where every element of the ceremony is filled with meaning and respect for history. Local tea houses offer a secluded atmosphere with carved furniture and fine porcelain ware. Chaozhou is famous for its ceramic art, and this often complements tea rituals. The local streets retain the atmosphere of old China, with narrow passageways and Ming and Qing era style signage. The locals pride themselves on their culture of hospitality, where tea is not just a beverage, but an occasion for socializing and sharing thoughts. Chaozhou actively preserves traditions in a rapidly changing world. The city feels like a living museum of tea and crafts. Changzhou is an industrial city located between Shanghai and Nanjing, with a strong manufacturing base. Factories and plants here operate in a rhythm of continuous production, supplying the country with machinery, equipment, and parts. Despite its industrial character, Changzhou has rich green areas and lakes where locals relax after work. The city has many ancient temples and parks, giving a sense of balance between tradition and progress. Changzhou is an important transportation hub connecting the economic centers of eastern China. The culture of work teams and family traditions are evident in daily life. Local markets offer products reflecting regional cuisines. The city feels vibrant, dynamic, and full of opportunities. Hengshui is known for its prestigious schools that attract students from all over the country. Education here is seen as the path to success, and the city builds its image around this. In addition, Hengshui is famous for its wine production, which is atypical for northern China. Local wineries offer products with unique flavors shaped by the local soils and climate. The city is surrounded by natural landscapes with hills and rivers, creating a pleasant atmosphere for living and studying. Hengshui hosts cultural events where education and art are intertwined. Social life here is quite active, making the city comfortable for different generations. Hengshui feels like a place of concentrated knowledge and taste. Jiaxing is located by the Grand Canal, which has been an important artery of trade and communication for centuries. Water is an integral part of life here, and walking along the canal creates a special mood. The city has preserved many ancient bridges and waterways, which have become a symbol of cultural heritage. Jiaxing has developed handicrafts, especially textile production and the making of traditional products. It has preserved historical neighborhoods with Ming and Qing era architecture. The city feels a combination of water transportation traditions and modern development. Local festivals often focus on water culture and handicrafts. Jiaxing is perceived as a city where water and history flow in unison. Jilin is the center of the northern province of the same name, with a harsh climate and beautiful nature. The winter here is long and harsh, which forms a special atmosphere and way of life. The city is known for its forests and mountains, which become a popular place for tourism and recreation. Jilin has developed mechanical engineering and chemical industry, which play an important role in the economy. Locals take pride in winter festivals, including ice sculptures and ice skating. The city is culturally diverse, with both Korean and Manchu communities living here. Jilin's architecture combines Soviet heritage with modern buildings. Jilin feels like a city of contrasts between harsh nature and human energy. Xi'an is a city rich in history, closely associated with the Three Kingdoms era and military events. It has preserved ancient forts, walls, and monuments reminiscent of the past. The city plays an important role in culture and literature, and is often mentioned in classical chronicles. Historical reenactments and festivals are held in Xi'an, immersing you in the atmosphere of antiquity. The nature around the city is hilly and scenic, with rivers that once served as defense and transportation. The architecture combines military heritage and residential neighborhoods with traditional style. Xi'an is considered a place of strength and spirit, reflecting important stages of Chinese history. The city gives the feeling of a living museum where the past is preserved in every stone. Jinhua is an important transportation and economic hub between Shanghai and China's inland regions. The city is known for its developed industry, including electronics and machinery manufacturing. In daily life, active infrastructure development and the emergence of new residential areas are noticeable. Local markets offer a wealth of agricultural products grown in the surrounding area. Jinhua has a cultural heritage with temples and monuments reminiscent of the past. Museums and theaters are located here, and many events are held here. The climate is comfortable, with mild winters and warm summers, making life pleasant. Jinhua feels like a dynamic and convenient city for work and leisure. Shaoxing is the birthplace of writer Lu Xun and famous rice wine, deeply embedded in the city's cultural life. The streets have retained the atmosphere of old China with traditional architecture and canals. There are many museums and monuments dedicated to Lu Xun and local handicrafts. Rice wine is a symbol of hospitality, and its production here is an art passed down from generation to generation. Shaoxing is located in the picturesque Yangtze River Delta, with an abundance of water and greenery. The local cuisine is known for its unique recipes and use of rice. The city regularly hosts cultural festivals and folk craft fairs. Shaoxing gives the feeling of a place where history, literature, and gastronomy are closely intertwined. Zhengzhou is a port city on the coast of Bohai Bay, an important hub for maritime transportation. The seascape and cityscape mix here, creating a special atmosphere. The city plays a strategic role in the economy of northeast China. The locals are engaged in fishing, shipbuilding, and trade. Zhengzhou is surrounded by green plains and hills which serve as a recreational area. The city has historical monuments related to the region's military history. The seafood cuisine here is particularly varied, with an emphasis on fresh seafood. Zhengzhou feels like a city where sea and land live in close dialogue. Xi'an is the hometown of Zhou En, a famous politician and philosopher with ancient canals and a rich culinary tradition. The canals here are an integral part of the urban structure, creating scenic views and supporting trade. The city is famous for its rice flour cake and a variety of fish and vegetable dishes. Xi'an maintains a traditional way of life with handicrafts and markets. The architecture combines old houses and modern neighborhoods. Local festivals reflect respect for cultural heritage and nature. The city sits on the banks of rivers and canals, giving a sense of tranquility and connection to the water. Xi'an is perceived as a place where history and modernity live in harmony. Each of these cities is like a living book, telling its own unique story. From bustling metropolises to secluded corners, each city has its own secrets, traditions, and unique flavor. Traveling with us, you can not just see China, but feel it in your heart. If you are interested in learning more, don't miss new episodes. Subscribe to the channel and be in the center of the most exciting stories from the depths of Asia.